So yeah, as I was saying, today is decision, and it's interesting how so many people think they're really good at decisions and making decisions, and yet we've never really been taught it. So I found a great video of Bob Proctor sharing all he knows about decision. Again, he's studied this before he left us a year ago about for over 61 years. So he truly has a tons of experience, and this is his, this was his lane. He even said, he's like, I didn't want to know how to bake a pie, I didn't want to know how to fix a car, all I wanted to do is this, and he did it at such a high level. So what I've done is I am a consultant for his company, Proctor Gallagher, and I invite people to this program, Thinking into Results, which is a 6-month program that I facilitate and coach to and mentor. Obviously, Bob and Sandy Gallagher do the heavy lifting. So all the videos and all the content is already created. It's helped millions of people in every country. And I get to show up and invite people into Thinking into Results to shift and finally get the goals and dreams goals, because a dream is only a dream. It doesn't become a goal until you commit to it, make a decision and write it down that you want, and really shift. I found this information in 2017, and it completely changed everything for me. I was at a rock bottom low point in my life. And I believe truly that I had to be there at that spot for me to receive this. Not many people need to be there, but for me, it was just a timing thing, and everything happens for a reason. I didn't have the money for it. I didn't believe this. I didn't know what I was doing. I felt really broken. And Bob said, do this until you find out one of two things. Either I don't know what I'm talking about, or I'm lying to you. And borrow my belief in you, borrow my story, my success, and what I'm doing if you don't have it in yourself. So it's in doing that that I took the plunge and the leap. I made the decision, and I found the money within 24 hours. And back then it was, I think, about $10,000 to work with him in his coaching program. So it was quite a bit. And yet I knew, just my intuition inside of me told me, this has to happen. You need this, where we have that thing. And usually my paradigms would tell me no, or all the reasons why I shouldn't, or I can't, or, I had 2 little kids, or who am I to spend $10,000 on myself and my care? So it was to a point where I had to be pretty broken in order to just hear and receive it. So I love this lesson, as I do all of them. It's really quite a strong one on decision and frequencies and vibration, and it really ties together a lot of what we've already talked about this week. So I will go ahead. It's about a 20-minute video. We'll watch it, and then of course meet you on the other side for some really great conversations. I would for sure grab a pencil and a pen, and I look forward to talking a little bit more. Let me pull it up. Get that out of the way.
Hello there, and welcome. I'm Bob Proctor. I want to talk to you about forming a habit that'll literally change your world. I formed this habit a long time ago, and I'm going to tell you, my world changed like night and day. Work for me, it'll work for you. But before we get into it, I want you to come back in history with me to September the 12th, 1962.
For the eyes of the world now look into space, to the moon, and to the planets beyond. Our leadership in science and industry, our hopes for peace and security, our obligations to ourselves as well as others, all require us to make this effort, to solve these mysteries, to solve them for the good of all men. There is no strife, no prejudice, no national conflict in outer space as yet. Its hazards are hostile to us all. Its conquest deserves the best of all mankind. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
You know what John Kennedy did there? Made a decision. That was a decision. It was a big decision, and it changed everything forever. Well, do you know, decision is something most people never really learn, and for good reason. Stay with me, because I'm going to show you something here that you possibly have never looked at before. This book changed everything for me. In this book, it's Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. There's 15 chapters. There's one chapter, the entire chapter is dedicated to decision. Now, you may say, well, I make decisions. Do you really? You may make little ones, but you make the real important ones. Do you go after what you want in life? Do you get everything you want in life? See, the truth is only about 3% of the people are really living the way they want to live, driving the car they want to drive, taking the trips they want to take, living in the houses they want to live in. Most people do not, and they'll tell you why they can't, and they'll give you a string of reasons a mile long. All seem very practical, very reasonable, and the leader of them all is they can't afford it. Well, the truth is, we live in the richest country in the history of the world. Money is the easiest thing in the world to earn once you learn how. Well, if you turn making a decision into a habit, you're going to learn how to do a whole lot of things you may think you can't do. See, what we're doing is we're exploring a side of our personality that we really don't understand. Now, I photographed a page out of here. Napoleon Hill said, those who reach decisions promptly and definitely know what they want, and they generally get it. The leaders in every walk of life decide quickly and firmly. That's the major reason why they're leaders. He said, the world is a habit of making room for the man or woman whose words and actions show they know where they're going. And he went on to explain why we have difficulty here, for very good reason. Indecision is a habit, which usually begins in youth. The habit takes on permanency as the youth goes through grade school, high school, and eventually through college without any definite purpose. The major weakness of all educational systems is they neither teach nor encourage the habit of definite decision. Now, why is that? Well, the truth is, most people really don't know. We're dealing with a side of our personality that most people do not understand. What you see here is not me. This is my body. You never hear anyone say am hand. You see, we've got to take a look at the non-physical side of ourselves. President Lincoln put that very well. He said, to believe in the things you can see and touch is no belief at all. But to believe in the unseen is a triumph and a blessing. Well, let's look at this. Making a decision, we're going into the unseen part of ourselves, using faculties most people don't even know they've got. You see, Einstein said the intuitive mind is a sacred gift. Well, he said the rational mind is a faithful servant. He said, we have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. What is a servant? Well, there it is there. It's our sensory factors. We can see, hear, smell, taste, touch. What are they for? They're to help us correspond and communicate with our outside world. But you know that the physical world is nothing but the manifestation of the non-physical world. That's right. Here we've got something that's nothing short of a miracle when we look at it properly. This is a little cell phone. It has more power than the computer had that took the first rocket to the moon. Think of that. And I'm carrying it around in my pocket. I can touch a button and bang, like that, send a picture to you, and you'll get it simultaneous with me sending it. How does all that happen? Well, it happens because we're dealing with the non-physical side of ourselves. We're dealing with just pure power. How do we get at that? Well, we've been gifted. We've been gifted with something no other form of animal life has. We have these higher faculties. You've got perception, memory, imagination, will, reason, intuition. I want you to shift your perception for a moment of yourself. You know, our good friend, the late Wayne Dyer, he put it very well. He said, when you change the way you look at something, what you look at will change. Change your perception. Do you know the reason most people don't make decisions? Because they can't see how they're going to get there. So what do? They keep doing things that they can see how they're going to get there. And that's why their life never really changes. Stick with me here for a moment. Think of you. You are a mass of energy and you function on frequencies. That's what you are. Take a look at yourself. Here's a shot taken by Kirlian photography. Semyon Kirlian was a Russian who perfected a form of photography way back in the early 30s that'll photograph mass where you can photograph the energy leaving the body. There's a glow of energy around you. This physical thing we live in is a mass of energy. Well, we're going to be talking about the non-physical side. You see, a frequency is a level of vibration. Do you know vibration is a natural law of the universe? Everything vibrates, nothing rests. We live in an ocean of motion. Now, there's an infinite number of frequencies. Now get this. Let all these lines represent levels of vibration, okay? Levels of vibration, as we said, are referred to as frequencies. You and I think on frequencies, the highest function we're capable of. Now, here's where you really want to pay attention. This, if you get this, if I communicate this effectively, your life can change because it sure changed mine. We think on a frequency. And the frequency we think on dictates the results we get. So we're sitting here and they say, these are my results, but this is where I really want to go. And we point to a star. Somebody said, what do you really want? I really want to be wealthy. Do you know that most people never live the way they really want to live? They don't. They never earn the amount of money they can. They don't live in the house they really want to live in. They don't take the vacations they really want to take. Why? Because they don't know how. You see, when they set those targets, they look off into a space and they see nothing. Now look here for a moment. These lines represent levels of frequency, or you could say levels of awareness. But when we set the target way up there, it's all gone. We don't know how to get there. Think of that. Think of what Steve Jobs says. You cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots are going to connect as you go ahead. Now that's pretty big. If you're going to look at the unseen, you have to use the higher faculties. That's what Einstein talked about, the sacred gift. We can use faculties to look into the future. We can go into the future with our imagination and see ourselves where we want to be a year from now, and then bring that into the present and begin acting like the person we want to become. So let's go back and look at this again. We'll say, that's where I want to go. And I'm going to get there. Now, we do make decisions, but then we say, not going to start yet. I'm going to do that as soon as I get the money. I talked to a young couple. In fact, I wrote about them in a book, Pat and John. I sat with them in a hotel in Toronto, and they said they wanted to buy a house. And I said, well, go on out and buy one. He said, we can't buy a house. We haven't got any money. I said, you don't need any money. And he looked at me rather strange. I said, what do you need the money for? You haven't made the decision to buy the house. You see, you don't need the money until after you make the decision. Person say, I want to take a trip and I'm going to go as soon as I get the money. You don't need the money to make the decision to take the trip. I'm going to start my own business as soon as everything's right. Things are never going to be right. You've got to make a decision. Now, you see, when you make the decision, everything starts to change. Look at this for a moment. You're thinking down here on this frequency, and that's what's giving you the results you're getting. If you want to go where you say you want to go, you've got to get on that frequency. You see, the truth is you're not thinking about getting there. You're letting the present results repeat, and that's the star you're shooting at. You're going to get the same results over and over and over again as long as you keep your thinking there. You've got to get your thinking up on this higher frequency. Because when you get on that frequency, the thoughts and things that are going to come into your mind will take you there. How do you think we got to the moon? Kennedy didn't know how to get to the moon. When he asked Dr. Wernher von Braun, who's considered the father of the space program, What will it take for us to build a rocket, carry a man to the moon, and bring him back safely to Earth? He said, the will to do it. The will is one of your higher faculties. That's what Einstein was talking about. The will gives you the ability to focus on one thing to the exclusion of everything else. When you focus on that one thing, you're on that higher frequency. How do you do that? Well, first, you got to make a decision to go there. You see, your mind and thoughts must be focused on the same frequency as your goal. How do we do that? We make a committed decision. That's where I'm going. And when you make the committed decision, that's irrevocable. You cannot go back. You shut the past off. You begin thinking on this higher frequency, and you think and act like the person you want to become. Does it sound preposterous? That's what the Wright brothers did, and they introduced us to a new kingdom. That's what Sir Edmund Hillary did. I had the good fortune of working with him. He was a beekeeper from Auckland, New Zealand. He was the first person to ever climb Mount Everest. He didn't know how to get to the top of that mountain until after he got there. He trusted in the image that he held in his mind. You got to trust in the image you hold in your mind. You got to think like the person you want to become. It takes a decision to get up on that higher frequency. And the second you make the decision, everything starts to happen. And you got to believe you can do it. The moment your belief matches with any state, the higher frequency is the state. The moment your belief matches with any frequency, you fuse with it. And this union results in the activation, the projection of the plots and plans and conditions and circumstances. Things start to happen. Think about it. You're going to a dance, you need the new dress. You make a decision, you don't know where the money's coming from, but you've got to have the dress. You get the dress. You want that car. You make it as you get the money, you get the car. The moment your belief matches with any state, you fuse with it. And this union results in everything that happens. Now look at this new state of conscious awareness becomes your home from which you view the world. You're operating on a different frequency. Don't expect a lot of support from the people around you. They don't know what you're doing. They probably think you've gone a little crazy. But listen, in your workshop, and if you're observant, you're going to see your outer reality shaping itself upon the model of your imagination. Do you want to know the beautiful truth? This works like unadulterated magic. It does. Is what all our Proctor Gallagher Institute programs deal with. I want you to control the flow. There's thought energy flowing to and through you. It's flowing freely to and through you. Make certain it proves everything that it connects with. You've got all of this power locked up within you. Utilize it. Go after what you want. Quit going after things you already know how to get. There's no real gain in that. Don't compromise. Go after what you want. It's not that easy, but I'm going to tell you something. It sure is worthwhile. Turn decision-making into a habit. And when you do that, everything changes. See, I didn't go back to school. No formal education. I didn't gain any business experience. I made a decision and bang, away I went. And everything started to fall into place. I opened offices in different countries, in different cities. There are no kinds of money. I had money coming to me while I was sleeping, and so can you. In fact, you turn this into a decision, you can earn more money when you're sleeping than you'll spend when you're awake. Decision, it'll change your world.
I will start with you ladies. Feedback, ahas, questions, takeaways. I'd love to hear from you.
Well, it was very exciting to me, and I couldn't write fast enough, so I started screenshotting everything that happened, because I'm like, oh my gosh, that's good. Oh my gosh, that's even better. And to think that it's just a different way of you making decisions for the progress.
Mhm. Yeah. I will tell you, I had no idea I had higher faculties, what they were. I had to write them down and study them and look at them and make that part of my daily process. And it started making sense, but it takes a while. I'm not going to say he says this is simple, especially once you get it. And it's not necessarily easy because of the paradigms and because of we're trying to fight this new decision and this new way of thinking, and that we were not programmed. We were programmed even in school. What are your five senses? We all know our five senses. And what Bob said in the past is you can find all of that in a pig and a horse and a human. He's like, we all are pretty, if you think about it that way, he's like, what separates us as the human species as our higher faculties. And yet we don't even know about them or what they are, or more importantly, how to use them and utilize them and connect to the laws of the universe and connect to what already is in order to be and get and have that make the decision of our goals. So, I love that. Yeah. So cool.
One of the things that I wrote down was the reason why people don't make decisions is that they can't see how they're going to get there. So once you understand, that the principle of not knowing how you're going to get there and trusting, the process and the journey, and whatever you believe in, to get you there, it takes away from that. So once you take away that, then it's easier to make decisions because you're living from that, standard now, that's your new law, that I'm not going to worry about how, I'm going to focus on my vision and do the right things and I'll get there.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And even this week, I've said this probably a dozen different ways, a dozen different times. If you go back and look at the classes and rewatch them. And it's interesting once you watch this video, and Rhonda, you couldn't take enough screenshots. You couldn't write fast enough because all of a sudden there's pictures put with it, or there's an understanding or a chart, or it's written out in front of us. And we, again, think in pictures. So it's tying so much together. And going back to, I think it was 2 days ago, the study and truly showing up every day and studying and rereading. He said, so many people have a library of 3,000 books and they're so proud. I read that book. I read that book. I read that book. I read that book. And again, it's just getting knowledge. Did they really read it to read it? Or did they read it to understand it and read it to study it? It's just like in our profession, working with clients. Are you listening to understand really what they're asking or their needs are? Or are you listening to respond? Are you cutting them off? Are you thinking what they're going to say or what they're feeling? So it's just so interesting. Absolutely. I love all of it. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else?
I just love how at the end of the lesson, the words "don't compromise" seem so easy, but they're not always that easy. And so if you just have those two words are easy to remember too, don't compromise. And that was kind of a really good 2-word thing that I caught too.
Yeah. Every day you commit to this, you do this, you commit to that, you make that irrevocable decision and that commitment to your goals, you will fight all the reasons, all the paradigms, all the habitual habits, many of them almost every day. And it's just a recommitment. And that's why he said, is today going to be one day, or is it going to be day one? Are you going to get up every day and recommit to your goal, your decision, your irrevocable, stubborn, put your line in the sand decision that today feels like day one, just like the new year. I mean, we're 18, 19 days in now. Do you still have that energy and that spark when it was a new year and new year, new me, or I get this, I get that, a fresh start? Many times it's already even that's faded by now. So yes, I love that, Chris. And I have in front of me on my wall discipline. So I know I need to be disciplined. So I remind myself every day. I have a notebook here. This is number 4. And I write my goal out every day. I don't, you can't see it, but yeah, 50 times every day. I write my goal out in a notebook and it's there every day, 50 times. This is notebook number 4. I started in September. You know, so it's just something that I'm doing to keep me disciplined and to keep me on track and just to keep me from that paradigm telling me I can or all the reasons why. I get up an hour or 2 earlier. I try to have that done and some of my study done by 7 a.m. so that when my first child starts getting up to get ready for school, I'm ready to be present and help there. Am I perfect at it? No. Do I give myself grace? Yes. And before my head hits the pillow every night, it's done. Yeah. I love it. Any other thoughts, questions, clarity? I know it's interesting. They talk about, and he talks about how when you're going after a goal or you make a decision, 5% is actually regarding the strategy. And, you know, we make all these plans and we plan to plan and we strategize and we figure out how we can do it. And then we come from this angle and we back up and then we try it that way. And we put all this time and energy and effort into the strategy of how it's going to happen, not believing that it will if you connect to it, because 95% of us getting there is your mindset, is fighting those paradigms, is showing up and you know, making new habitual habits. That's interesting. I hear that, not today. And really making the decision that it's going to happen, you know, thinking into results, the program, any maybe past program that you've bought, maybe you've listened to it, you have a program, you go through it. Are you applying it? You know, in all of the study that we do, in education that we do, one of my first coach mentor, Stacy, that I hired after Bob, because I always have a coach. You should always have a coach or mentor. It's just what the best paid athletes do, the highest CEOs do, the owners of, you know, the people that are really getting somewhere know that they don't want to be having to do it alone or, you know, take their blinders off and see what they can't see. But it's the application. So when we're going to these classes or when we're learning this, she said for every hour that you apply yourself or you go to learn something or you're taking in information, you should be acting on it and double that time. So what action are you taking? We consume and consume and consume and get knowledge in our conscious mind, and we're reading all these books. Yep, I read another book. I read another book. And yet, are you applying it? Are you taking something and really deep diving into it and letting it resonate with you and giving it the space and the opportunity to find out where that's going to fit in with you, with your goal, with where you're going? Because everything happens for a reason. You're reading that book for a reason. You're here for a reason. You're meeting people that you're meeting for a reason. So are you taking the opportunity, you're just letting it be like the 90-95% of people that are just trying to get through the day, paying the bills, doing what we need to do to survive? Yeah. Yeah. So go back and look at, you know, thinking into results is a 12 week program, or it's a 6-month program with 12 lessons, you know, and it talks about your goals, your self-image, cybernetics, how that connects, the tear barrier, which we went over. You dive into the higher faculties. Are you using your imagination? The will. 2 exercises on the will, I can tell you right away, is put a dot on the wall or a candle and go up to the other side of the room or about 10 feet away and just stare at it. And I'm sure you've done this before where all of a sudden, like the flame disappears and it's almost like you become one with it, or the dot on the wall becomes just something other than what it once was. And really connect to it and hold that without letting anything else come into your mind. Because your imagination will work so much more powerfully for you if you have the will to hold the image on the screen of your mind and you're not everywhere. And it takes some people a long time, months, to work on the will, because you'll stare at it and the thought will come within a second. You'll be off thinking to-do list. I didn't do that. Oh crap, I have to do this. Put all the distractions aside and really start strengthening your will like a muscle, and really be able to start with 2 seconds. It was so difficult for me. And then, okay, nope, start over and give yourself grace, and then really, really focus. And then as you're strengthening that, when you bring in your imagination, and in the video, as you go for that goal and you hook onto that frequency, you'll start to be able to do it longer. Maybe it's not just 2 seconds. Maybe you got 5 seconds before another thought came in, and then it will go to 8 and 10. And then you'll get to the point where you can do it for minutes. People do it for hours, where you are fully connected and feeling as if it's here and now. And it's something, simple, not easy. You have to work at it. You've got to want to work on your perception of a situation, the will, imagination, your intuition, reasoning factor, your memory. I mean, the intuition was probably one of the first ones I strengthened. And how I did that is I just started listening to those little hits. Sometimes it took me 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, okay, I got it. I'll call him. And then boom, I called an agent who left the brokerage I was with, because I was just like, wow, I really like how he's showing up on social media. That's pretty cool. I'm like, call him. I'm like, all right, call him. Yeah, call him. Okay, I called him. Took me like 3 times, but I was listening to this intuition, just call him. And he introduced me to my business partner. Now, within 2 weeks, I had left my brokerage and I was on the path to my passion. I can't imagine if I wouldn't have even just made that call. Changed the whole trajectory of my purpose, of my path. Not saying I would have got there, but if you follow your intuition, you can really take it's almost like the quantum leap, which some of you know about, we've talked about before. You can quantum leap your results instead of just inchworming it along. So yeah, it's really, yeah, it's changed everything for me. I'm the product of the product, and it's why it's become my passion. And I am so grateful for all the people that are listening to the replay and the ones that have shown up in person, because it's fear of faith. You get to choose one every day. And when you start hooking up and playing with this and understanding it and testing it, going from 1 to 10 and then 10 to 20, you don't feel from 1 to 100. It's in those wins and in that understanding that this gravity, you're a good person or a bad person, you jump off the building, it's going to be the same result. The laws of the tide comes in and out. Day follows night. Spring follows winter. I mean, this is all things that are happening. They're not man-made, they're not man-created, and they can't be altered by men, by people, by the human race. So why not get to know how these laws of the universe work and plug into them and understand living from the inside out in our higher faculties? I do a lot of deep dive into that on my podcast. Who do you want to be? How do you want to show up, and stop listening to all the outside noise and pay attention to, he said the energy of thought is flowing to and through us all the time. We're 100% energy. And if you're not paying attention, and if you're just letting all these thoughts flow to and through you, and you're not choosing, it's going into your subconscious, and you're going to continue to get the same results. So who are you surrounding yourself with? What type of conversations are you having? What are you listening to on the news, on the radio? You know, he said there's some people that have really, again, hard relationships with people that you can't not necessarily be around. So don't go as often and don't stay as long. Don't engage in the low vibration and conversation. Absolutely. It's amazing. Once you said most people don't think, it's just mental activity. So really think about what you're surrounding yourself with, what thoughts you're letting in. How are you using your imagination? When you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you do? Do you grab for your phone? Or do you think yesterday, oh man, that, and you're living in this past situation or argument or thing that happened, and it's just right away, you're putting that on the screen of your, you know, your imagination. The picture that you're bringing into your mind is where you're going to start your day from. It's where your level of vibration is going to be. And what frequency are you going to hook up to that? It's going to be a much of the same of yesterday and the feelings and what happened. Instead of starting with a meditation, you know, affirmations, gratitude every day, top of whatever page I'm on in my 50 goals, I write out my things I'm grateful for, 10 things. And after each one, I say, why am I grateful for that? And you connect to it. They can't just be words written down. You got to really ask yourself why and connect to the feeling and the frequency and the vibration of it. Saying your goal, writing it down. Am I feeling it as am I right? Am I just getting through my exercise because I have to do it 50 times because that's the decision I've made and my discipline? Or am I feeling it and really thinking of what that will feel like, connecting to it as if it's here and done and what that looks like? And what do I need to do? 3 things today that I need to do, or I should be doing to get me to my first base camp goal of that big C goal. What are 3 things that will get you closer to that goal? So I'll pause. Any questions? Any additional ahas or thoughts? See a lot of people write down stuff.
Yeah, I can say that, you know, especially with a relationship, once you've made a decision that, you know, you are going to only allow so much, or what your decision is and boundary. And then once you stay and hold yourself and hold your boundary, it took, my experience took about 4 instances. And then finally it was like that person was walking on eggshells around me, and it was all changing. So I think that, you know, just holding yourself, you will find that those people will just either go away, or they'll stop, or they will, you know, move up to that vibration and stop being the way they're being. So.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And that reminds me, I just got off a coaching call before I jumped on this one. And it's someone who I just started working with. And she, you know, has been in this world of, you know, self-help and of this information. She had a coach before she met me for 3 years, no results. She's like, oh, I've been doing this for 5 years. Like, why, what is it going to take? And I'm like, you know of this, you know about this. You're not doing it. You're not applying it. You know about it. And she's like, and so we dived into that a little bit, and she's already since thinking results and since working, she's already like, and she understands that everything happens for a reason. So had she not had those coaches, and had she not had that 5 years of hearing this information every which way, she had a woman say something to her, a parenting coach, earlier this week, and she's like, light bulb moment. Okay, I just heard it how I needed to hear it. that makes sense. And that just ties it all together with a pretty little bow. And she's gotten a lot out of the respond versus react. She's just as I was, so reactive to everything. 8 years ago, I was a completely different person. I mean, it was like a light switch. It was just like, right. And all of a sudden it's like, whoa, and I would just react to everything. And when I started in real estate, oh my gosh, the sleepless nights, getting up at 4 a.m. Did I write that on the amendment? Oh, I wonder what's going to happen in the inspection. I wonder if the appraisal's going to be back. Just all the anxiety and the freaking out and everything, and just react. And 99% of it I couldn't control. I was just sitting there fretting and freaking out and having anxiety and losing sleep over something that I had no control over for the most part. So it's so just one of the first top 5 things that Bob taught me is when you react to a situation, you're giving your power away. The other person automatically has it. Now, when you sit back and you choose to respond to that other agent or respond to a significant other or to a family member or to a coworker or to a child, you shift the energy and you shift the power, I guess, of the conversation, for lack of better words, back to yourself. And you will see it takes, you said 4 times. 4 or 5 times, because when you start doing this, and that's why people think you're crazy, especially like all this stuff that you're doing, and you're different and your awareness is different, and you're learning, you're studying, you're understanding this. They want you to play down here. Like I said before, they're used to you being down here. They're used to the engagement at this level. And it's when you have the higher awareness, when you raise your vibration, when you hook to the frequency, and now you're playing from that place, it can be very confusing. So it's important, yes, for you to hold it, hold your frequency, hold your vibration, hold your goal, make that irrevocable decision, and know that you will be ridiculed. You will have people being like, what? That's not for me. Well, that's fine. Absolutely. It's not for everyone, but I'm going to graduate. I'm going to get out of the 90 to 95% race of everyone doing what they're doing, because that's what you do. You said, conformity. Just conform, and it's easier. And I did it for years. I did not find this, and I did not find my purpose until I was 40 years old. And I'm meeting with 20 and 22 and 18-year-olds and 30-year-olds. And I'm just like, and I know everything happens for a reason. And I needed to go through everything I went through to get there, to be sitting in this chair. But now that I can share it and get it out there to anyone and everyone, I mean, I want to be part of the 5%. I want to be part of the consciousness. I don't want to be a competent, unconsciousness and not know what I'm doing, or not even know to do it. I want to play with this, and I do it every day. And the awareness that's created, and Chris, I know that you're coming back around to thinking the results again for a second time. I mean, you will never hear it the same way. I never do every day. It's different because you are different. Your awareness is different. You hear something different. I mean, the sales trainer for Procter Gallagher that I'm working with, he's been doing this for 14 years and he's still taking notes like a mad person. Video he's seen hundreds of times. It's truly opens up a whole new world and opportunity. And it's playing with the C goals. And what is so challenging and difficult, and where I lose people, is truly the fear of faith. People would rather choose fear and stay at the bottom frequency. If you go back to the video and go around in that circle and back to the result and back to the result, because at least they know. They can take comfort in knowing that, yeah, I don't really need that. I'll just stay right here, because then, even though it's not what I want, I know the result. I'm staying in this relationship. It's not really what I want, but I'm not alone. You know, I'm working for this boss, even though I could be doing a lot more, but then I have to go find another job, or I have to start over, or, you know, jumping into real estate. I could just stay here. You know, I had 3 people in Thinking the Results this summer leave their 20-year plus jobs and take the leap because it gets to be toxic. And once you are aware and you know this stuff, you see things differently, you see people differently, you hear things differently, you become different part of the conversation. You get up out of your seat at the table, you go to the other side of the table, and you look at the same situation from a different perspective, a completely different perspective than you ever have in your life. I was caught in a victim, just a situation that I put myself there because I wasn't taking 100% responsibility. And I just sat in there for 12 years. I'm talking low vibration, low, like victim, like, I can't believe it. They're doing this to me. This is, you know, how could they, her, this, that, not me. Like, I'm a victim. Why would you ever do this to? Wow. The time and the energy. And again, the moment I realized that, and I met Bob and he gave me a list, he told me, write 25 things you're grateful for that person. I'm like, no, nope, not gonna happen. There's nothing I'm grateful for. Start with 5 and you'll get there. And all of a sudden, in writing down and starting with 1, okay, I like her hands. I don't like that I like her hands, but I don't know why. She's got pretty hands. Write it down. Okay. Then I could go down and say all the good things. And all of a sudden, the situation that I had been staring at from my seat at the table, from my victim mode, from where I sat for so many years, I just, year after year after year, I got up and I went over and I looked at it. And then he said, you know, people, everyone you come in contact with is fighting their own battle. And regardless of they're handling it the way you would or you wouldn't, you got to believe they're doing the best they can with the tools, the information, the resources, their paradigms, where they've been at and where they are right now. Would you agree? Yeah, I guess I could agree with that. And I found 25 things and I made a gratitude call. And I called that person and I told him why I was grateful for him. I would have never understood that. I would have never found the good. I would have never got out of side of my own victim mode had I not found this information and had I not understand and created this awareness. Everything shifted. All of a sudden, I wasn't drinking poison anymore. I wasn't burning myself with a hot coal trying to throw it at them and missing every time because I was only hurting myself. It was just so powerful. And that's when I knew, I'm like, wow, so many people are stuck there. And I want to get as many people unstuck and aware and just understanding how this works and how it can work and how you can connect to with an irrevocable decision, stubborn as hell, that come hell or high water, it's going to happen. And then see the beauty in it and connect to it. It's life-changing. I love it. What else? Any other thoughts? I mean, it could be from any of this week. So I can keep going, you know I can. Oh, I love it. Yeah, so I am going to self-image, which is another one of the Thinking into Results. When you make a decision, know that you start with yourself and your paradigms and where you're at. And that's where we talk about the mirror exercise, journaling, positive affirmations, all of that comes out. And it's truly, when you make that decision and when you set that goal, know that once again, you can't and you won't get there from where you are today. And it's through your imagination and your self-image, because you will not outperform your self-image. Your cybernetics, your thermostat, internal thermostat will not allow you to. So that's where in sales, before I found this, I would have my goal and I would be ahead, or I'd have a really great month. I'd post 8 closings. I'm like, wow, that's my best month. 1 the next month, 0, 0, 1, back on track. So again, my thermostat, my cybernetics put me back to my goal. Even though I was ahead, I ended exactly where I did year after year after year. Because I hadn't worked on my self-image. I hadn't connected to a bigger goal. I hadn't understood that my paradigms, my habitual behavior, my habits will make sure that I end. Same with sales reps in many companies. They'll triple 1 month. And they're on their way to have an amazing year, and they'll end exactly where they were, because you will not outperform your self-image. So that's where you go in and you do the work. This is simple, not easy. You do need to get rid of the old paradigms. And it's through the thoughts. It all starts with our thinking. What are you thinking? What are you allowing to come into your conscious mind that is then impressing upon your subconscious? Because your subconscious cannot reject. It will accept anything you are thinking and letting in repetitively. And once it's there, it's there. You can remove it though. The program, it shows you how to remove the paradigms that no longer serve you and replace them with what will improve your self-image, your worthiness, whatever it is that you need to do to get to that goal. And in connecting with it, using your imagination every day, all day long, as many times as you can. One of the coaches that I've also coached with at Proctor Gallagher, he does it a minimum of 6 times. I mean, he has an alarm set every 2 to 3 hours, and he'll just take 5 minutes and he will do 20 I am statements, positive affirmations. He'll do auto suggestion with some of his favorite music, where he'll read out his vision statement. He'll do a 10-minute meditation if he can, at least definitely in the morning. And then out loud for 2 minutes, he says his goal, his big C goal, and he writes it out once. And then he says it. And then he connects to it, truly connects to it, and feels it as if it's here and now and done. And through doing that, he's impressing upon his subconscious as if it's already here and done. And the subconscious does not know any different, and it cannot reject it. And once you implant it in your subconscious, it will happen. The people, the circumstances, the money, what you need will fall into place. It's amazing. Yeah.
It is.
Any questions? Or ahas? I love ahas. Gets me going on a whole nother tangent. Yeah. Well, I just encourage you and anyone watching the replay, make sure your goals are worthy of you. So many of us, again, pick things that we just know that we can do, or that are attainable, or, we've done it before. What do you really want? And if you need a coach, or if you need a mentor, I mean, make the decision. So many people don't make the decision. Thinking into results, it is a 6-month program that will show you how to do this. It gives you all the information. It's in every country. It's helped millions of people. Bob Proctor studied this for over 60 years before he left this earth. This is all he did. And it's a compilation of how to do this and how to understand it, what to do. And it's the discipline of doing it, and the repetition, and knowing that I can promise you one thing for sure: you will fight your habitual habits and your paradigms every single day until the day you leave this earth. Because once you take one and you have to, so when you remove one, you need to replace it right away. You should only work on 1 or 2 at a time And know that once you take that one and you replace it, there's gonna be another one that comes right up, and another, and you will never. Bob fought him until the day he left this earth. Everyone will. Because you'll always have that voice, you'll always have the reasons why you can't, why you shouldn't, why you're not worthy. It's not that big of a deal. I really don't want that. You will talk yourself out of more C goals than you can ever imagine. So when thinking about your goals and thinking about 2023, I really, really just connect to, what do you want? That's the only prerequisite. What do you want? If you know how to get it, it's not a goal. It's not a big enough goal. Just the want and desire is all your part in it is. And then doing the program and connecting to it and understanding it and knowing that through the faith of this, people, circumstances, money, what you need will be put in your path along the way. Yeah. Decision. Love it. I never understood it or knew that I wasn't good at it, or I didn't know how to make a decision, or what really a decision was. Like you said, we're not taught how to make decisions. On another video I was watching, because I watch a lot of videos from him and other people all the time. He said most parents make all the decisions for their kids. He's like, I wouldn't. And my kids got pretty frustrated with me. Like, come on, just tell me what to do. He's like, yeah, it's really got to be your decision. Are you really going to quit the swim team? Well, I don't know. It's just, I get up at 5 a.m. and I just don't want to do it anymore. He's like, well, you can do what you want to do, but just know that if you quit this time and back out of your commitment you've made, it'll be that much easier next time. And it'll just get easier and easier and easier. Then it'll just become a pattern. And then you'll create the habit. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, wonderful. Tomorrow, money. So we'll dive into more education and awareness around money paradigms, and how we can look at it differently and think about it and use our higher faculties to invite it in. Most of us are collapsing the energy and even being open receptacle for money and offering it a place to land. So what does that look like? How can you offer and open up to allow money to flow to you? So look forward to that so much. Again, if you're watching the replay, feel free to comment as well. I really appreciate everyone showing up, and you know where to find me if you need me. Look forward to connecting again soon.
Thank you.
Bye.